Hey guys, welcome to yet another live stream on Balloon Head Productions. I'm your host, as usual. My name is Marcelo Nestroza, and on today's stream, I'll be talking about Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 9, entitled Subspace Rhapsody. But as usual, I will not be alone in for this episode. I would like to welcome back to the stream my friend PJ. Welcome
Thank
back,
you for
PJ.
having me. Thank you for having me.
Oh God. Well,
We're gonna
guys.
sing this whole review. Audrey
Well,
Marcello.
okay. Well, for those of you who are not in the know, episode 9, Subspace Rhapsody, is the musical episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2. And the basic setup for this episode is that while in the neutral zone, or a far away or a far away spot of space, a subspace conduit is discovered that is basically folded into itself, and this conduit can make it easier for Federation ships to communicate with each other over vast distances. So Uhura, our favorite officer, decides to, hey, just to make sure this thing works, I'm going to just select a piece of music and and stick it into the conduit. But when she sticks it into the conduit, it backfires, and for some reason, the music that she sends into the conduit is thrown back onto the Enterprise, and by wibbly wobbly magic, our beloved crew of the Starship Enterprise is basically singing everything. So they have to figure out why they're all singing and how they can stop this. So, PJ, what do you think about the overall setup to this episode?
I'm willing to accept an excuse to have a musical episode. Uh, it's just that, as executed, it starts off well. I gotta say, like the opening song where they're all weirded out and they're saying, "Why are we singing?" That was good. It was a good start. But what happens is you get like a few songs, and I've seen the episode a few times now, and the songs I don't care for, I care for much less. And the three songs that I like, which is a status report at the beginning, I'm Ready, and Keep Us Connected, are really the only parts of the episode I can get any enjoyment from. And I probably would have kind of liked the episode, maybe, if it wasn't for that Klingon part. It ruined it.
Of course,
One of the
I'm
worst
sorry,
moments in
PJ, go
Trek
ahead.
ever. That's all. I'm good. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, the one thing that I will say about the Klingon part of it is basically eventually throughout rigmaroles in the episode, our crew discover that while they're trying to basically close this subspace conduit, so they'll they'll stop singing and embarrassing themselves, because while they sing, or when they sing, they discover that what causes them to sing is when they feel really emotional. And if you've been watching the season, we got emotional stuff happening between Chapel and Spock and some other people among the crew. So they try to do that, but when they try to do that, they discover that if they do that, the subspace conduit gets wider and will affect the entire system basically. So the part that PJ is mentioning is that the Klingons start singing at one point, and the thing that they sing is this really ridiculous, putting it nicely, dumb K-pop thing. It's just so agonizingly stupid.
By the
I
way,
would
that
have had.
Klingon is played by Bruce Horak, which I didn't know at first. I found it out later. The
Who is
Hemmer.
that? Oh,
The guy who played
Hemmer. Yeah, I'm not good. I'm not good with actors, guys. You'll have to excuse me.
Now, with due credit, the part where the Klingons are where Pike first talks to the Klingons, and the Klingons are like, "We're gonna blow this up because it's dishonoring
Yeah,
us."
dishonorable.
It was almost better that it was
That's
left to the
funny.
imagination. But when they
Yeah,
actually show what the Klingons have kind of been doing on their ship, it's like, oh, no wonder they're pissed off because it's terrible. It's at least the music on the Enterprise is tolerable. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right.
Yeah, but
No, I look. I said on your stream where we talked about this episode that we stream that we did a couple days ago. I said it would have been much better for the Klingons to be singing like Klingon opera or Klingon acid punk for like from like Star Trek Lower Decks or something like that. I didn't hate it, but well, you know what? Hate is a strong word, so I will say that I didn't like it because it was just like agonizingly dumb to me. Um, and I listen. I like this episode, but it was I didn't much see the need for it, other than let's do a really cool thing and let's put a musical into Star Trek. That I kind of believe that this episode didn't sort of fit here. With that being said, this season has been so glaringly uneven that it makes sense that they would do something this radical. But a musical episode to me would fit better in Lower Decks than it would in live action Trek. Do you feel that way?
it would definitely feel better or work better. And it's not, like I said, it's not that this could not have worked for me. It did work for
Yeah,
people. The soundtrack is doing well on Apple Music,
yeah.
so
It's on
that's fine.
Spotify too.
And the song "Keep Us Connected," sung by Celia Rose Gooding, is a pretty good song that I've listened to a few times, and it's the only one like I'm not sick of. I've listened to the whole soundtrack minus watching the episodes, and it just doesn't click with me. It's like when you buy an album of an artist you like or something, and out of 12 or 14 songs, there's three that you actually repeatedly listen to at any given time, and the rest is just kind of filler. Um, the whole thing with this season is it's just jarring. It's let's be serious, now let's be silly, now let's be. It's this back and forth, and it ramped up mid season, like we said earlier. The other stream we did, five is very comical, like an episode of Three's Company. Then six is very dark, with hallucinations of like zombie Hemmer. Then you get six, which is which is another first. I'm glad that they're doing things for the first time and they're taking big swings. I admire that, but when you do that, there's a risk involved, and you're going to divide fans, and fans shouldn't be blaming each other for not liking or liking it. I see a lot of fighting on X, formerly known as Twitter. So stupid. Where people are offended that others don't like it, or people are frustrated that fans are buying into it and therefore supporting what they believe is like the death nail. Death knell?
Yeah, Death Nail.
Death knell? Is it
No,
death
Death
nail?
Nail, like a
Death
nail.
nail? I don't know. It's the franchise killer. Somebody on Twitter was like, "What would you name this Klingon boy band?" And I was like, "The Franchise Killers," because people, I don't think they really know, like a dumb decision like that is very jarring for some people, and it's like I had an open mind and I was willing to take in what this episode had to offer, but then like you shovel shit in my face like that, it reminds me of Ichep's eye. Now, in Picard season 1, Ichep had a very gruesome, like torture porn scene that was completely out of place in the show and in the franchise in general.
It was unnecessary.
It was, and people say it was necessary to show like Seven's pain. I'm like, not
No,
that graphic.
no.
And
You could.
what pissed me off most about that is that anybody who hated it, which I understand, used that clip over and over and over again. And I've seen many people talk about this episode using that Klingon clip, and it's like, stop doing these monumentally stupid things. The episode in itself, I'm not fundamentally against the idea. I just don't think it belongs in a show that in episode 8 you had like one of the doctors murder a dude and like get away with it. It's like the tone is I guess you could say I'm against them doing this again. I was open to the fact, okay, if there's a story reason that makes sense within the story, and you got to stretch your imagination a little bit. Like, for example, people are singing in different parts of the ship. Are the people in the other parts of the ship just quiet with the music going while like somebody in another room is singing, and then they pick it up? Like the cameras are going back and forth in the different locations. How come there aren't more random people singing and dancing in different spots? It seems to be all just very focused on the people who are important to the actual narrative. So the logic of people are breaking into song and dance everywhere, we're just seeing just a part of that. And the whole thing at the end, when the crew has to sing together, the song sucks, by the way, and then it gets even worse with that Klingon part. So that's terrible. It doesn't end well. I do like the fact that they have the original series music. But yeah, after watching this a few times, I'm like liking it less and less. Like I'm trying to
Well,
be like, I want to dig it, but I don't. I just don't.
yeah, listen, I've only seen this episode one time, and I will tell you that while I was watching the episode, I had fun. I had fun, and I just want to acknowledge that I'm not hating on this episode, or I doubt that PJ is hating. I don't think at all that PJ is hating on this episode. I will just say that he has issues with the episode. I'll just say that for him. I I wasn't pleased with this episode, but I don't feel that it is that it is the rattling death nail that a lot of people say it is. Just because this episode didn't work for you doesn't give you the right to say, doesn't give you the right to disparage someone else's joy of this episode. If somebody likes it, let them like it, and if you don't like it, never watch it again. You know?
It's the problem with this show, though. Like I always say with the Strange New Worlds, especially, I never know what the hell I'm gonna get. I
Right,
never
right.
know if it's gonna be something that's going. I throw my arms up and say, "Oh, this is the wrong thing to do. Stop doing this." And then the next episode's like, "Wow, it was pretty good." It's like it's. If you had only shown me the episodes that I liked, I would have been like, "It's a pretty good season." If you had only shown me the episodes that I don't like, which is like half,
Yeah.
like I half like this season and half really don't like this season, I would say, well, this is the one of the worst seasons of Star Trek. Like, it's weird. Why
Yeah,
can't I don't understand why they can't keep it consistent. And listen, don't do any more animated stuff. Like my fear is that they're gonna think this is cool and like let's do more of this silly fourth wall break. You know when Pike reacts to the Klingons and he has that look in his face? He might as well have looked right at the camera, at us, the audience, and be like, "Whoa, isn't this silly?" I don't like that fourth. They did it all the way back. It started in 2009. I know you like J.J. Abrams, so I'm not gonna rag on him. I'm
no,
just
it's
gonna.
okay. That's
There's one
okay.
part of the movie where the red shirt is about to die.
Uh huh.
That's that's the first time in my view that I ever remember somebody's death in Star Trek being treated as like a joke, like, hey, this good guy who's in Starfleet is gonna die now, ha ha. They do it in Discovery too with that Connolly dude who's like, I'm
Oh,
gonna be a prick.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
of
that
course you're
Connolly
gonna
asshole
die.
was. But yeah, of course you're gonna die because you was a prank. No, but look. I I really I really don't know why they decided to do this tonal shift this season. Like you said, like we'll have a funny episode, we'll have a serious episode. I prefer, as a fan personally, to have a more consistent run of episodes. Like if you're gonna do funny, do it all funny. If you're gonna do it all serious, do it all serious. But you can't really mix it up if you don't get the mixture right. And I don't think that they got the mixture right. Now, with that being said, I don't have as many issues with this season as you do. The only episode that I can't stand is the Laan and the other version of Kirk when they go back in time, because I can't. I just can't with that episode. You and I talked about it. But other than that, I have really liked. I have really enjoyed myself while I've been watching this season of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. The only thing that's bugging me is the same thing that's bugging you. the constant tonal shifts between episodes.
And the next episode, the finale, is going to be deadly serious
Yeah, it
with like
is.
possibly a lot of death.
Yep. No, but I wanted to ask you, what are some of your favorite songs in this episode? I know you only like a couple, but
Well, I can actually I'll do them in order from worst
okay,
to best. At
okay.
the very bottom would be How Would That Feel? And that's your favorite.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Then it would be I'm the X, We Are One. Uh, the medley at the opening I don't like.
Okay, I like the medley, so I'm not with you on that one either.
Connect to Your Truth.
Oh,
Private
that's the number.
Conversation.
Well, private conversation is just like but connect to your truth is the one with number one on in the in her room, right, where they turn off the
Yeah.
gravity
No,
for
no,
some
no, no,
reason.
no. Connect to Your Truth is the one with Kirk and number one.
Oh,
Keeping
okay, and the
Keeping Secrets is the one with Rebecca Romaine and Laan.
right.
So getting to the ones that I probably like more are I'm Ready, Status Report,
That's a good one.
and Keep Us Connected. I don't know if I mentioned I'm the X, but that's like
Yeah, that
low.
one's
Did I
pretty.
mention that one? But Keep Us Connected, I think, is the only potential. I wouldn't say hit song, but it has the potential to be a popular song for for a while. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if it's going to
Okay.
chart. I don't know if it's going to chart, but I'm like, I've heard it a few times, and it's a good pop song.
Mhm.
So I mean, I'll take that. And I love Celia Rose Gooding, and her. I think her character Uhura was one of the highlights of
Right.
this season.
Right.
Kirk, surprisingly, don't mind him showing up. There's a joke now, like Pike's like, "Why are you always on my ship?" Like, or what? No, well, he's not really always on the ship, but he's always around in this series, and he has some good stuff. I like Lon and him together and that whole thing, but these love interests and these romantic relationships that they explore, and there's three of them. There's Pike and Patel. I don't care about them. I don't care
I
about them as a
yeah,
couple.
I
They're
do.
so
I
boring.
do.
Of course, Laan and Kirk aren't going to be a thing, so that's out the
No, that's
window.
not gonna happen.
He mentions he's got a pregnant girlfriend, Carol, on Starbase One. But the Spock and the Chapel thing,
Oh, that pissed me off.
I just, I like the song "I'm Ready." It's the break. It's the one where she's like, but
In the bar.
it's such an awkward, weird breakup. And I know, I'm going to use some crude language here, but they've basically this season made Spock into a little bitch. Like really, he's just like he's ugh.
What is it?
I've kind
What?
of went along with it. Like, where's this gonna
Okay.
go? But now this whole breakup thing where he's like, I don't like this. I'm so sick of it. I'm
Okay.
the ex, and I'm like, the song is
It's bad.
the song's
It's
not
bad.
bad. It's just not interesting. And then Spock singing it, and not that Ethan Peck can't, not that any of
Same.
these actors can't reach the notes. It's just I don't care for Spock being sad about
Chapel.
breaking up with Chapel. It's just
Yeah,
fuck
look.
this.
I mean, look. I really look. I have been a person that has been shipping Chapel and Spock since it was sort of teased in season one. Now I know, Star Trek continuity, that Chapel is gonna meet with help me, Corby, right?
Corby, yeah.
I know that has to happen, but in this episode where she is accepted to the Klingon Science Institute or whatever the
The
fuck it
Vulcan
is.
Science Academy.
Yes, when she's accepted to the Vulcan
She has a
Science.
fellowship.
Thank you. When she's accepted to the fellowship, and they mention, that she's going to be studying under Kirby.
Roger Corby.
Thank you, Roger Corby. Thank you. that really pissed me off because one time when I wish that the Strange New Worlds writers would say fuck to continuity, it's like this one time because I love Chapel and Spock together, and I wish that they would have explored that a little bit more. If you want to break them up, which you have to, I understand that, but why not wait? Just play with it a little bit more, and then fucking break them up if you have to. But to break them up in a musical episode, I'm like, you could have made their breakup devastating. But with this fucking song that Spock sings, PJ is like he keeps saying it. I'm the X. It's a dumb song. It's a dumb song.
It's just I never thought I'd hear Spock, canonical Spock,
Singing.
doing that. Anyway, it's just hard to wrap my head around. It really is, and
Yeah.
it's not that they ruin. I don't think
No, they didn't. No, they
it's
didn't.
not about ruining the character. It's about making up a backstory that's just not all that interesting. You can fill in a lot of blanks. I mean, it all depends on who's creating the stuff, and of course, it's not going to jive completely with what fans want. They don't like, oh, he got with Chapel and he got really sad when they broke up. They could, in a future season, have an on again, off again thing. It
Yeah.
could be.
Do you
It
think?
could become a very complicated. She's going away for 3 months,
I,
and that's
yeah.
the whole thing about like, well, I'm going away for 3 months, so we can't be together. I'm like, for one thing, the reason for the breakup is flimsy as hell. It just happens, and it's just a narrative excuse to have them sing when emotions are high and stuff. And when I like the song "I'm Ready," but it's so awkward that everybody's singing and dancing, and
And Spock is just standing
Spock's
there.
just looking, and his heart is like being crushed, while people are like
Yes.
da dee 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 doo doo doo, and it's like,
Oh,
and then later he's with her, and by the way, her triggers that situation. She
yeah, she
takes him
does.
there to create, but it's all for scientific reasons, of course. And
Right. That's
then
true.
Spock is crying at the end of that fucking song
Oh,
in engineering with her right before she sings "Keep Us Connected."
right.
And it's like I'm glad "Keep Us Connected" came after that because I was like, if I get one more shitty fucking song, because I'm ready. When "I'm Ready" came on, I'm like, okay, might be getting some good songs now. Then they went to Omni X. I'm like, okay. Then keep it. Oh, and good. Maybe the final song will be good. And it's like, we know our purpose. Klingon stuff. Ruined it. Ruined the episode. I would have liked it to some degree. I don't know,
Or
man. They gotta
you
stop
said,
doing this shit. They gotta stop.
yeah,
They gotta
you
stop
said,
making silly episodes. And then here's the thing: Picard had humor in it, didn't it?
yes.
And it was deadly serious too. Guess what? You can do both in the same episode. You don't have to like, let's reserve all of our humor and jokes and like our lower decks sensibilities for certain like the basically the odd numbered episodes, like I said, and let's save the really serious deadly stuff. It's like this staggering. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
I can see how they might have thought it was a good idea, but it doesn't work.
I totally. Yeah. Okay. You mentioned before we came on the air. You mentioned that if they would have hinted that the Klingons were singing, but if we never saw the Klingon K-pop ridiculousness, do you think that would have worked better?
Or if they showed the Klingons and they were doing some kind of like blah blah blah. Even then, even the Klingons doing anything, whether it was opera or death metal or acid punk or K-pop, it it still would have been jarring because you're supposed to imagine that this thing is spread everywhere. And I mean, if you wanted to, you could do a whole series about just this incident on different places. And it's like just a musical show where everything is the same day. You're just seeing like Captain April's point of view, or the Klingons' point of view, or another ship like Patel's point of view. Like after she sings "Private Conversation," she's definitely going. Her and her crew are definitely doing different songs and shit. So all of this musical stuff is just to think that it's going on like everywhere that has got the subspace. And that, you know what? I didn't buy the whole thing about like, well, if we try to do the zipper thing or whatever they formulate the first time to solve the problem ends up being like, it's gonna be like kerosene and throwing a match
On a
on some
match, right?
kerosene, and
Yeah.
everything will be destroyed. It's like, what's with this everything? I don't know. I can't wrap my head around the logic of the episode. It is an illogical episode, and you know what? You can look back in this season. One episode, logical. Next episode, illogical. It's like back and forth. That's the best way to explain it. Is that each episode is a shift between logic and complete like illogic, where it's like serious drama and then absurd to the point where I just can't. Like Mbanga, I'm singing, I don't sing. He's talking about bunnies. It's so jokey. It's like, dude,
Yeah, but you
we remember
realize,
what you did in that last episode. We didn't
yeah,
forget.
yeah, but here's the thing though. I found it really funny that most of our primary characters, and I'm not bringing this up because of the color of Omega's skin. I just want to say that up front. I find it really funny that in Banga, while they because early on in the episode they try and have like a status meeting in Captain Pike's ready room to try and figure this out. And Mbanga says he sings a little bit, and he says for the most part, Mbanga he doesn't sing in the episode. And I wonder. I mean, no disrespect to the actor, but I wonder if if the writers pitched this episode early on, and the actor told him, guys, I would love to participate, but I'm tone deaf, so I can't sing. So they like put an excuse in there to say, oh, Mbanga doesn't sing.
Yeah, I mean, he the few parts that he does sing, like he doesn't sound bad. It's just that probably uh, his voice, he kind of has a raspy
Raspy
voice.
voice, yeah.
Uh, Probably wouldn't lend itself to a full song, and I think maybe the character saying "I don't sing" could be reflective of Babs. Look,
Of his state of mind.
I gotta say his last name right. Babs Alo Olasukumong. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna attempt that.
Babs. Babs Alosumonkun. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, he's him and her are my favorite characters.
Yeah.
But
Well,
him in this episode, he's just there. He's not really a big
he's
part of
not
it.
really a part of it. No, but I mean, my favorite character of the series, it would have to go between Chapel, Laan, and number one. But Mbanga is, I think that Mbanga has had a really really interesting character during this season, as unbalanced as the season has been. My two favorite episodes of the season are episode two, the trial with number one, and Mbanga's episode, with what he does to the Klingon dude.
You know, thinking back, episode one does have a nice blend of serious and silly. Because you get the Spock drinking with the Klingons, which is like reiterated at the end of this episode. Like
Right.
how he makes peace with it. He comes back on the bridge drunk. I don't know why he would come back on the bridge drunk. Wouldn't he just go to his quarters? But uh, I think the episodes 1 and 3, in terms of like, I say the odd number ones are the sillier ones. 1 and 3 in particular have a better balance. It's just that that whole con thing really sucks in episode 3. But like I said, it's midway through the season where it starts getting like, even episode 4 is very serious, and then 5. I think 4 is where it really starts, where it's almost humorless, except for like that part where Ortega's is trying to remember who she is. She's like, I'm the pilot, I'm the pilot. But then charades, and then serious, and then so this next one, where you had episode 8, which was like the most serious of this season, and then you had episode 9, which is the most silliest, probably of all the fucking franchise. I mean, people point out every silly thing in Star Trek, like Alan Moraine and some of the TOS episodes. It's
I
like,
like Ellen
look,
Moraine. Shoot me.
but that's what I'm saying.
If
People will
yeah,
always say, like, they did stupid, silly stuff before. It's like,
They
yes, and
did.
we make fun of it until to this day.
Yeah.
Back when it first aired, people were like, "Oh, we're gonna look back on this fondly." No, they were like,
No, we're
"Fuck
not.
this." You know what was really risky was the DS9 episode Trials and Tribulations. I
Oh, that
remember
was
when I
great.
heard about that, I'm like, really? You're gonna have the DS9 actors go back digitally to the
It was
sets of the
great.
'60s? And I was like, I don't know how that's, but it was entertaining as hell, and it really worked. And that's an example of taking a big swing, and actually, like, I'm sure there are fans who are like, this just so
Oh,
silly,
and what
especially the
about
part where Odo acknowledges the difference between the Klingon look. But yeah,
yeah? What about the Voyager? I mean, look, I love Voyager, and I'll be the first guy to point out a bad episode of Star Trek to me personally. But what about the Salamander episode in Voyager? That's so bad. Like, I can't even.
or what's that one where like the Captain Proton stuff like was
Oh, well, you know
getting
what?
into silly, but it was all in story. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, it was in story. It was in story.
It was
I
holodeck
actually,
thing that you understood the
yeah,
conceit. It's just
yeah.
very.
I actually,
Those are the sillier episodes.
yeah. You know what? I mean, just two more notes on Voyager. I like Captain Proton, and I even like
I do too.
what's the fucking the one where Tom builds the Irish village.
I haven't watched Voyager.
Oh my god.
Voyager's the last Star Trek show the old show that I've
Oh,
ever rewatched. I'm waiting for it to be remastered, so
Haven.
I'll probably never see it again.
Haven.
New Haven?
New Haven. Thank you.
I don't know.
Yeah, New
I
Haven.
remember the Irish
Yeah.
holodeck thing where Janeway falls in love with some dude.
Yeah. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I think that this musical episode will be among the Star Trek episodes that either, if you're a Star Trek fan, either you love it or you hate it, or you're in the middle like me. Um, so yeah, it'll be. Listen, I'm really excited to see how the season is going to wrap up, because I thought that they were going to push the Gorn going into Federation space a lot more than they did this season. And the reason that I didn't think they did that is because they wanted to create such a Walmart version of a Star Trek series where one week you have chips, another week you have pizza, another week you have fucking hot dogs. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing with the food analogy? But I thought that they were going to push that angle of the Gorn going into Federation space and fucking shit up. But I don't like the way that they handled that at all. How do you think that they're going to pay this off? Do you think that they're going to do the episode, some serious shit's going to happen, and then we're going to get a cliffhanger?
Well, I hope to God there's not a cliffhanger, because I mean, episodic TV in the past did have cliffhangers.
Right.
The Next Generation did it. But the thing about cliffhangers in the modern day, especially season end cliffhangers, that you have to, before you had to wait 3 months to see the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
In cases in today, you have to wait a year or more, or 2 years. So cliffhangers really suck, because nowadays, especially if you know the show isn't coming for a while, and especially now that we know that season 3 won't go into production nearly as early or on time as they thought, could be delayed a very long time depending on how long these strikes last.
Right.
But my prediction is all about the Gorn. I think Patella's going to die. They hint at that. Maybe them hinting at it is a reason that she might not, because everybody thinks she is, that she might not. But I'm willing to bet she does, and that's going to affect Pike. It's going to be some kind of like emotional Pike needs to be emotionally devastated. Like, they need to have the character suffer something at the end of this, I think. But the Gorn hegemony. I can't say that. I can't say that word. Hegemony.
Hegemony. What is that?
It's the Gorn. The Gorn hegemony. I fucking can't say it. God damn it.
What the fuck is it?
But that's the name of the episode.
Oh, that's the name of the episode. Okay, I haven't.
But that's the name of the Gorn.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
hegemony. Hege-
What? Okay. Whatever. I
hegemony.
don't know.
I guess I gotta hear somebody say the word.
Mm.
Uh, and there's clips of like the baby going on, "Ah," and it's like, fuck this. I can't. You know what they need to do? They need to show some adult, intelligent Gorn. Our characters don't need to meet them, but show them. Because what's happening with the Gorn is that they're only showing the crazy babies. They're not showing like the full grown ones.
Okay.
We're only seeing the ships. So the intelligent, like calm, supposedly Gorn, who have to like operate a ship and like be engineers and fucking doctors and shit, like they're an advanced race. There is no evidence in Strange New Worlds so far that supports this. They're just even I think they believe that they just want them to be mindless monsters. And they think
Okay.
that's cool and okay. And we'll make them a lot like xenomorphs from the Alien franchise. People will love that, won't they? And not get pissed off at that and not immediately recognize that as a cheap ripoff. And it's like, what are you doing, guys? It's, you know what? You know what? I think a lot of people would agree. I like and dislike a lot of modern Trek. But, and people who either hate or love it or in between would probably acknowledge that there is not a coherent vision through all of the shows that they've put out.
No, of course not.
Each one kind of has their own version of canon. A lot of times canon is just mentioning things and like we're okay now, right?
Right.
Picard was accused of being nothing but member berries. The only difference between Picard and Lower Decks, which like throws the references at you every 2 seconds, like the characters in the show are Star Trek fans who
Right.
watch the show. In Picard, it was more like someone created a story excuse to have all of these familiar elements show up in one spot, and that was sort of the point of the third season was to have an excuse to have
The
Berman
TNG crew
era's
back.
greatest
Right.
hits. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they did it well. They could have very well had that intention and fucked it up royally. Just like I'm
Yeah.
sure that when they made this musical episode, they were like,
No, I.
if we get this right and we get really good songs, I think people are just going to buy into it and like it. But the problem is that you have, from my point of view, three good songs, one really good, and the rest is just like, that just doesn't do
No.
anything for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Look. I've said it. I've said it, and PG has said it. I really enjoyed myself with this episode the first time I watched it, but again, I feel no need to ever go back to it again. And I don't know what that says about me. I don't know if that says I enjoyed it more than I thought I have. I don't know. But I don't think that I will be I don't think that I will be revisiting this episode multiple times in my multiple rewatches of Strange New Worlds. And for PG, I know that's not going to be the case. I think you're just going to skip over this episode in any rewatches that you do.
Yeah, I've seen it 3 times, and three's enough.
Yeah.
I really don't want to. As you get older, you see time more as like a valuable currency,
Hmm.
and I never want to rewatch something that I'm about. I'll rewatch something that I really like, but I find it very hard to go back and rewatch seasons of anything unless it's an old show that's been remastered or something new about it or something.
Right.
I haven't seen it in so long I can barely remember it. That's different. But with Strange New Worlds, I think this season, I think I'm just gonna forget about. I'm probably gonna go back to episodes probably 2 and 8.
Hmm.
Like with the Discovery, like I only go back to certain episodes when I go back to watch that show because it's like this. It's like Strange New Worlds in that although Discovery is heavily serialized, it is inconsistent. Like I don't know whether or not I'm gonna like any episode. Why can't they give us something like Picard where like most of the episodes are pretty satisfying? It's like, wow, I know it's hard,
Yeah,
But
it's very
like,
hard. It's very
why
hard.
don't why don't you get the guy who successfully did that? I don't know, Terry Metalis,
Yeah, where are you?
and
Come on.
hire him for another show, and that hasn't happened.
There
I
we go.
probably think that's
Not
why. I
yet.
think they have other commitments to the Starfleet and Section 31 thing right now, and
Yeah, yeah.
who knows when that's going to
Actually,
happen.
I mean, just a really quick aside here before we start to wrap up. Section 31 is being co-created by my guy, Alex Kurtzman. So, I really, sorry, not Section 31. Shit. Starfleet Academy is being co-created by my guy, Alex Kurtzman. So I really hope that he's more hands-on with that series, and it's being also being co-created by somebody I've never heard of before. I'm sorry, guys, I don't have her name here right in front of me, but it's being created by uh, someone I never heard of. So hopefully they can they know how to write science fiction correctly. But PJ is right. There's I have had my issues with new Star Trek. If you've been on this channel for a while, or if you've seen me speak on other channels, you know that I have been dissatisfied with a lot of Star Trek, but I've really enjoyed a lot of new Star Trek. And like I said at the beginning of our stream, if you don't like this episode, that's fine, but you shouldn't feel the need to rub it into other people's faces who have liked this episode for whatever reason. If they like it, they like it, and if you don't like it, move on and watch another episode of Strange New Worlds, or go and watch Star Trek from the '90s or what have you. But what I'm trying to say here is, stop bringing people down for for no god for no good goddamn reason. You know, um, I just got up on my soapbox. I didn't mean to do that.
Well, I've a couple of people. I've never read all the comments, but I posted about the Klingon stuff, the Klingon part. They got a lot of responses, and I noticed a few people like, "I'm a wanker," just like Robert Meyer Burnett. I was like, "Hey,
No,
that's not nice. What are you saying that for?" And they're
no, you're
like,
not like
"You,
Robert
you."
Meyer.
They said my post was like wasn't sane, and it was like an attack on them or something. I was like, okay,
For what?
no, it's just somebody getting angry that I posted something negative about the episode.
Yeah,
Now, so here's the thing: a lot of people would see one negative thing that I say and assume a lot of things, which everybody's doing that to everybody this past week in terms of this episode. Like,
right.
oh, you hate it because you don't like musicals. It's like, fuck you, you don't know anything about me. And I'm saying other people, happens to other people too. But there was one girl who didn't tag me, but she kind of like screenshot at my thing, and like here's an example of a guy who doesn't have a sense of humor, or doesn't know how to have fun, or someone who's grumpy, blah blah blah, who can't enjoy it. And I said I like these three songs, so I did enjoy some of it. And that person apologized to me. It's like
Oh, she did.
I didn't mean
Oh,
to
wow.
assume that. I shouldn't have assumed that. Yeah, because she
Wow, that's a kind of
probably
rude.
looked at the rest. She probably looked at the profile and saw that. Hey, look, I really like the Celia Rose Gooding song, and I said a positive thing next to a negative thing. Which, guess what, people, you can do. You can
Yeah,
actually like,
it's
you
not
can
against
actually
the
watch
law.
something and fucking hate one part and say, oh, this other part's actually really good. It's like this line that people have is like, I can't accept any of it. I must love all of it, and not everybody's like that. But
Yeah.
people
You
seem to
know,
fight over those extremes, and it's like, guys, and sometimes people in arguments will start to get along, which I like. I see like some of that would like, you know what, let's compromise and let's understand that we're probably making false assumptions. This episode got people talking, dude. Got people like talking. It's one of the lowest rated episodes of the series, by the way.
really?
But I find those who are passionate about it really like it. But it's they can't make a habit of this animated crossover musical stuff, because you know what? I think the show is at its best when it takes itself seriously. Funny enough, a dramatic science fiction series should take itself seriously. There you go.
All right, guys. So on that word of wisdom by my friend PJ, if you've seen this episode, in the comments, tell me what you liked about it, or tell me what you didn't like about it. But as always, PJ, if the folks want to chat with you about Star Trek or anything else online, what would be the best place for them to do that on?
Come over to Boat Wreck and subscribe. And you're on that channel quite a lot too.
Yes, I am. But I would like to say thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. And if you want to follow my adventures online, the best place to find me is on the website formerly known as Twitter, but now it's known as X. I'm at CreekFanatic88. If you go to that profile there, you will find my link tree profile that gives you links to all the wonderful stuff that I do online and in other places on the great big web. Yeah, I'm losing it here, guys. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and as I say often, I'll see you when I see you.
So much happened here, and so much is about to.